Way to Use Healing Magic surprised me as an isekai, and I honestly think that it has potential to be one of the greatest, but it does have its issues. The show is basically about three high school students who get transported to another world, but only two of them were meant to be there. Usato could have literally been one of the most interesting isekai MCs, but he was fumbled like other MCs. But to me, he is a little bit better than most, but not by much. The anime could have showed him being excited after the initial shock of being transported wore off. Then he'd get his hopes crushed when he finds out that him being here was an accident. Then we'd watch as he tries to live a normal life, feeling down and useless. Him being a healer would not be found out until later. We'd get to see him try to adapt, and this is where we could see the kingdom through his perspective. He could meet people, make relationships, and as soon as he finds that he can, as soon as he sees that he can live here, that's when we'll find out that he's a healer. Our main character Usato is a bit bored with his everyday life, which isn't anything new when it comes to an isekai. But while he wanted something more exciting to happen in his life, something like this wasn't what he was expecting. The first episode did a good job giving us a general idea of who the characters are, like Kazuki is kind, responsible, and by the book, Inukami is kind, an overachiever, and a star student with an almost obsessive secret interest in nerdy stuff, and Usato is funny, average, and considerate. To be honest, they do not become more than these throughout the anime, but at least they remain consistent. I'm not a fan of how everyone is so ready to throw their old lives away. I think they adjusted too quickly. You are literally plucked from your world and dropped in another that's in the middle of a war. The fact that Kazuki wasn't holding some kind of grudge further on in the series upsets me. Usato calms him down, and Kazuki literally threw his past life out the window. Like, what the hell is that? None of the three characters even show any sadness because now they'll never be able to see their family or friends again. No one really seems to be bothered by that. And Inukami was sad about her past life, like literally, but they couldn't even at least have her show some remorse, and they barely do anything with that regret that she clearly has. They should have expanded on it. The initial shock of being transported to another world was handled well. Everyone behaved as expected, and I like how Usato was the one to calm down Kazuki and make him see it from a different perspective. Inukami being so obsessed with all of this seems to only be there for comedy rather than for her character. I like the concept of healers needing to be physically fit and possessing steel resolve to operate on the battlefield, but I think that the actual weight of something like that should have been explored more. You're essentially putting your life on the line for strangers, and your only responsibility is to get them to safety, and you might not even be able to do that before dying. Also, it's not just about being on the battlefield. It's also about being on the front lines where people are dying left and right, and you could be next. The weight of that should have been dealt with a lot more care. You have to know who you can save and who you cannot, or who you can save while surviving and who you cannot. The character Rose was obviously inspired by Ursa Scarlet from Fairy Tail and Marileona Vermilion from Black Clover, which makes her my favorite character automatically. Speaking of Black Clover, the rescue team reminds me so much of the Black Bulls. They're so aggressive yet goofy at the same time. Kazuki and Inukami are not focused on that much. Their progress is mostly off screen, which feels like that was done just so we could speedrun everything else. It would have been so much better if we actually had episodes following them as they adjust to living in another world, considering they're also main characters. Kazuki is the only one struggling to adjust, and they barely spend any time developing that because he's mostly off screen. This anime kind of feels like it was supposed to be an ensemble, but they choose to only focus on Usato. I like that Usato is insecure about being able to be useful on the battlefield, even though he has gotten so much stronger since he started training. But I think a part of that insecurity stems from the fact that Rose gives him something more physically straining as soon as he improves. And when he fought against the giant white snake, he was outmatched. So the illusion that he's not ready or isn't strong enough is still in full effect. And as much as I like, and I mean I really like that Usato develops, but he was rushed. He goes from being a guy who stands back and admires from afar and doesn't try to achieve something greater to a guy that's willing to put his life on the line and protect everyone so fast, so fast. That's probably the only thing that bothers me about the anime. The pace is a little too fast, and there is a lack of depth. I'd rather if he slowly improved and developed and earned his place amongst the rescue team while getting to know each of them and having them accept him instead of everyone taking to him almost immediately. Kazuki has a romantic side plot, but that's not focused on, and the girl that he likes is the princess of the kingdom, and she's treated like a regular woman and only exists as a love interest. If you were to strip this girl of her title, nothing would change. And while I don't mind verbal exposition, you don't have to say everything. Some things can be inferred with context clues. And this anime could benefit just a little bit from show, don't tell. In terms of development for the other two characters, Kazuki is just the same as always. Which it doesn't really bother me, but they don't do nothing with him really. He's just there. And they do attempt to give Inuyukami more depth, but that depth is something we already knew from episode 1 and they don't expand on it. So learning why Rose is the way she is felt rushed, as most things. And it feels as though they're rushing through everything character related just to get to the war. Case in point, we're given 3 flashback episodes back to back before we get into the war. These episodes shows us the fight that got Rose's old squad killed. And this just kills the momentum they were building towards the war. Speaking of the war, it was very lackluster, not that entertaining. It goes as one would assume. The anime plays it very safe. It tried to make you feel worried or terrified about the whole vision thing about Inuyukami and Kazuki dying, but let's be so for real right now. This anime does not give that kind of vibe. And it could have played into that and make you think that nothing was going to happen and then they died, but that's not gonna happen. But then again, even if they did die, you wouldn't really care because we spend so little time with these two characters. And Usato having to deal with the death of 2 people he cares about most would actually make sense for his character, but that's not gonna happen. The war has to be the most disappointing thing about this anime. It's like the whole reason they were summoned here, and there was absolutely no tension in this war. It felt pointless and cheap. One of my favorite war/battle sequence is the last fight in Rogue One: A Star Wars Story. That fight was immaculate. It was like a coin toss, a tug of war. You did not know who was going to win. Both sides were competent, but both sides were still losing men, but it was just going left, right. You don't know who was going to win. People are dying. You had small victories, small losses, and it was just, you don't know who was going to win. You just had to sit there and just hope that the good guys make it out alive, which they didn't. But that is one of my favorite battle sequences. Honestly, this anime could have been much better. I like the story, I like the characters, I find the anime very entertaining, but it lacks so much depth it's annoying. The pacing was too fast. Usato is speeding through arcs, and the other 2 aren't given much screen time to see them develop. The world also need building, but I guess that's what's gonna happen in season 2 if it gets one. I don't like the kingdom. I don't like that the kingdom is introduced and put off to the side. I'm supposed to care about this kingdom's destruction. we spend no time with anyone who isn't Usato. We literally don't know how the kingdom is doing. How are the people, the economy, the culture? We don't even know the history or anything. And considering that we're only in two places for 13 episodes, they could have done something. I also feel like this anime should have been 24 episodes. It feels like they were trying to cram a 24 episode story into a 13 episodes form, and it's not. It didn't work really. It didn't work. It didn't work. 24 episodes most likely would have done this anime justice, because you would have had enough time to flesh everything out and build proper stakes and foundation for the world and the war. And while I do like the relationship between Rose and Usato, it was mostly developed off screen. The anime also doesn't really dive into magic and how it works or anything, and we're told so little about the demon army and their territory and the demi-humans. And I'm not saying that things cannot happen off screen, but I don't think you should abuse it. There are times where it feels like there are things missing in episodes because stuff happens and I'm like, when was that introduced? Or when did he come to terms with that? For an isekai, it's a decent anime. It's better than the generic. But then again, it does have its issues. Anyways, that's all I got for now. If y'all enjoyed the video, please like, share, subscribe, and comment what you think about the wrong way to use healing magic in the comments below. And I'll see y'all in the next video.